Right, very true. And it stands there for New Zealand as well, but we'll be back at the half. For now, though, let's go ahead and send it over to your commentators for our second matchup of the day. It's going to be New Zealand and Brazil. Driving you through it, ZP and Hexagrams.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. I'm ZP, joined here once more by the one and only Hexagrams, and now we have a matchup here for glory. New Zealand taking on Brazil.
For glory, indeed. Both these teams, when we first met them, before they played any games, talked about how important it was to be representing their country. And I'm sure there's going to be no lack of effort here today. At the core of every gamer is a true competitor anyway, and let's take some zeros off the boards for both of these teams.
No doubt about it, and this is a case where both of these teams, they are hungry for their first win here in this Overwatch World Cup group stage, and though neither of these two teams may be able to make it to BlizzCon this year, they can still end their tournament run with a bang.
Well, as much as it pains me to say it, I absolutely agree with Flame. Just kidding, love you, Matt. But they need to be running their triple DPS. That was the big question I had when I watched Brazil as well, that they run triple DPS very, very well. They went on a D.Va, and what that did is it put them behind in a lot of situations where they'd have to switch off and who's going to run the D.Va, who's going to run this or that. I think you go with the style that you're known for, and New Zealand also really likes running kind of a slower style, a more tank composition. That's what they planned on playing, so it could be a clash of two different compositions here, Z.
It very well could be, and one thing that you don't want to sleep on with this New Zealand squad is that they do have big threats. We have seen moments in this tournament where even against the juggernauts of the scene, like Team USA, like Chinese Taipei, we've seen Willix go forward, use a Nano Blade to his advantage, where Cantus throws a Nano Boost on him, and he's able to Dragon Blade to the back, and Signed, on a wide variety of heroes, has really had better contribution than expected, so Brazil cannot take this New Zealand squad lightly.
I completely agree. I think Brazil would have done better had they stuck with their guns early on and just played their actual style. In New Zealand, I think they would have done better if they just had a little more time, because you see those flashes of brilliance out of this team.
Well, Brazil right now going on the attack. They are going to be running a dive offense, and there is no D.Va in sight. This is triple DPS. This is what we've been saying Brazil might want to consider running here, and so far, they've been given a lot of room. New Zealand letting Brazil get the high ground right now. This is very advantageous right now for Brazil, where they're going to be able to evaluate New Zealand and look for the right way in.
Well, it's very advantageous because you have a soldier on the high ground rather uncontested. Uwu was looking for him, but ended up taking the wrong doorway. They're still unable to evict them. They're going to have to sit back into the hotel here and just wait for their opportunity, but the offense and defense kind of switching spots.
The poke from Brazil finally taking form. Huwu going to be knocked out of his mech here early on. It's 2 opening kills now from this Brazilian squad, and slowly but surely they are working their way into the point, and this is looking very good for Brazil. They should be able to flip this here in just a moment. They have not suffered any losses here so far.
Well, it's one of the great parts of the triple DPS is you get that opening kill, and then you're in a 6v5 with a ton of damage to back it up. You see Dudu right there with a couple kills, got himself earning up to this pulse bomb right here. He has been a saving grace, and in a tournament with a bevy of tracers, Dudu has marked his ground as well.
No doubt about it. I mean, you take a look at Dudu. He was able to bloody Sinatra, able to bloody Bacon Jack. He's a very good tracer now. He has room to work. Throws a pulse bomb into the back. Doesn't quite connect, but takes down Sign. A pistol butt right to the face. He's going to fall, but here comes New Zealand. Willix bringing out the blade and even things out just a little bit.
Here on the other side of things has been Willix, and he didn't even really have to bust out the blade. Now the blade comes out, and he gets actually pushed out a little bit. Maybe, wow, gets good healing there towards the end, but it is a flip around from Brazil as they find the return kills as the offense continues to roll through the streets phase of Kings Row.
New Zealand diving perhaps a little bit deep there. Brazil able to reestablish themselves, get momentum, and that means winning the fight like that they're going to be able to get this payload at least halfway through second here. New Zealand, no choice but to back up, regroup, and look for another way in.
Well, one of the tragedies of Brazil not necessarily always running the triple DPS is that we didn't get to see Liko on the Genji all of the time. He's going to have his Dragon Blade up. They've done a pretty decent job of staggering their ultimates. I think they should be as aggressive as possible here because New Zealand about to come online with several of ultimates of their own.
Liko right now cannot be more aggressive in the front line right now, looking for an opportunity to dive in. He's going to be waiting for Neil to move in and give him a bit of a distraction. Then he's going to use that Winston dive in as space for his Dragon Blade, but we see from New Zealand, they use the barrier, they go right in, but it's a nice disengage from Brazil. They don't give New Zealand anything.
We've seen beautiful disengages throughout the tournament, and I think that is a mark of a well-coordinated team to make them waste all. Now they come in with their own sound barrier, and not even the blade yet, too. Transcend comes out, so he's waiting it out.
Liko has to hold out the defense ultimate, so now he goes in. The Transcend is over. over. Cantus taken down with 2 swipes. Liko looking for more and gets more. Finds Wilkes into the back and keeps Brazil in this fight.
He had to get at least 2 there because he pulled that blade out after they'd already lost 2. Extremely back and forth now as it turns into a brawl. However, the defense will hold strong there closer to the cart. Offense has to reset. Going to be a little bit of a walk to get back to this point.
Will take quite a bit of time, but the one thing Brazil has right now is time. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left here, Hex. Plenty of time for 3 to 4 really good attempts here on second.
It was an interesting blade from Liko. You think they may have been able to hold it. They lost 2, and he was already being patient, but I think the timer was in his head that as soon as Zenyatta stops glowing on busting out the blade, Tac Visor could be coming out.
Wilkes with the blade, gonna be forcing out the Transcendence. Now he has to get away. He can't do anything into the Iris, must back away, and Brazil, they punish on that retreat. Dudu able to find Wilkes as Maurice goes off. It's a triple kill for Team Brazil, and that should easily let them bring this payload to this next point.
Well, as a Soldier 76 with a tactical visor, there's nothing happier to see than a Diva in the kill feed going out of the fight, able to clean up the rest of that. Neil got in here with a nice cleave damage early on, and Winston's maybe not showing up as all-stars in that kill feed, but they're the ones who started. They soften up targets.
Well, speaking of starting right now, Neil just cruising for a bruising right now, going really far up, getting Discord Orb, and actually has to back out a bit. So Brazil making some space, and now here comes New Zealand. They're going to be engaging directly in, and Brazil, they disengage once more. They see the beat getting dropped, and they don't want any part of it, but Neil's, oh my goodness, thrown into the pit. This means Liko has to work a little bit harder.
Living life with the Omnix down there. Liko's trying to get in here, but he's had to have a lot of the deflect up on his blade, actually. And now with the loss of Judo to his counterpart in Sign, it is time for a retreat. But the bright side for Brazil is that the next fight will have both support ultimates they can layer in with all the healing.
Brazil has a lot of options here where, as you mentioned, they're going to try and layer these support ultimates together, where whether it be Transcend or Sound Barrier, you will initiate with one, wait, then use the other, and use it to get the other team off guard. Here comes the barrier coming in right now from Brazil. They're moving in, looking for early kills. It's going to force the Transcendence out of New Zealand, but now Calero, he can use a Transcendence of his own, and there it is. The re-engage is underway in Brazil. In a great position, they're going to pick up 2 kills.
Picture perfect execution thus far as Cantus and Birdie down, but a saving grace of an execution over the top from who will take down 2. Wilkes on the cleanup, and though the execution was beautiful from Brazil, sometimes detonation of fireworks over top will swing a fight.
That was very good patience from Huwu. He was waiting for Brazil to finish layering in their support ultimates, and that's when you know that Brazil is going to be fully engaged. He threw the self-destruct over the top, got the kills necessary, and with Wilkes, it gave New Zealand key stability.
They absolutely needed that fight to stabilize. It's a fight by all rights. Brazil should have won, but a great counterplay by New Zealand.
All right, Brazil moving in once more. New Zealand, though, ready to engage right back. Back and forth between these 2 teams at the moment in Brazil. A little bit tentative, but they are winning the poke war a bit. New Zealand, they have to give up room. And now Brazil, with the Primal Rage about to be underway, they can really make some serious space.
It's going to put them in this corner because you don't want to be on the edge on the other side when a Primal Rage does come out. He's going to knock him in, and now here comes the Primal Rage, looking for that closeout, pushing them back in the door. 3 quick kills. Sign does hit a pulse bomb, but that is it. Does he get him off the edge? You got him!
Got him! Right into the pit goes Birdie. Oh my goodness, Neil, you should be playing golf right now. Great stuff coming in from Brazil, and now New Zealand. They just need a little bit more of the stall, but they don't have much room to work with. Huwu going to be taken down early on. The last moment Transcendence coming out. If Brazil can weather this, they will be in a great spot to take this map.
It's very solid stall, and Neil finds himself all alone in the back line there. The rest of his team had retreated. They're going to come back in with the Transcend of their own, but off into the pits! Transcend does not defy gravity.
No, no matter how spiritually enlightened you might. Oh, what? New Zealand, you gotta stay on the point. That's
C9.
Just a bit. Well, that Brazil getting bailed out perhaps a little bit there after their Zenyatta did a little bit of exploring into the pits, but in the end, it's still a decent time here from Brazil on Kings Row, and will force New Zealand to counter and turn and try to find a way to complete the map as well.
Pretty evenly matched teams, some really nice plays and counter plays into it. The double support counter with the pulse or the self-destruct over the top was extremely unique, and I think that's just a great sense of the momentum that the team's pushing in, and knowing that you have to find something, but also that you're timing it perfectly, that the healing's going to be gone and they're going to be out of position trying to capitalize on those support ultimates.
It's very interesting to see the back and forth in Overwatch where, at this point, how teams manage ultimate economy is not too much of a surprise. Teams do try to keep tabs on what the other team has coming up their sleeve. And that was the case where, look, we can only match one of these support ultimates, but what if we throw the self-destruct in over the top towards the end? And it's a case where that counter did work out very effectively.
Not really one-sided fights either, just very, very brawlish back and forth. Even when a team won a fight, they only won it with 1 or 2 people remaining.
Well, the interesting thing is that coming into this group stage here, when you look at these two teams, people gave Brazil a lot of credit and didn't give New Zealand a whole lot of hope. And both of these teams, while they came in weaker than USA and Chinese Taipei, I think that New Zealand is actually a bit stronger than people might have thought early on. It's just they're in a group with juggernauts. So the fact that they are able to go back and forth with Brazil somewhat evenly right now doesn't really surprise me based on what we've seen from day 1 and day 2.
Like I said, there's been flashes of brilliance from this New Zealand team where when they start getting going and they get the momentum of Willix timing his blades correctly and Sign hitting pulse bombs, they've been really able to push back some teams that they don't necessarily have the same talent as. So if they just had a little more time, I think they'd be a much stronger team. But here we are, New Zealand versus Brazil. New Zealand on the offense this time around.
We have swapped sides. The blue team is now on the attack. The red team is defending, and New Zealand looking for a way in. Signed right now being a bit of a distraction on the side, hasn't committed fully yet. Legabril going in, looking more towards the hotel side as New Zealand right now is taking their time. They're evaluating the terrain, but you have to think they're going to be going in soon, and there it is. Legabril leaping right in, starting to push Brazil back. Huwu right with him, so it's a good opening here from the tanks in New Zealand, and Huwu backing out, not going to be back in time. The counter engage from Brazil, now striking.
I have to question a little bit the coordination of that dive because the dive went in and it seems like a small thing, but Huwu's defense matrix is already down to about 1/3 of life remaining, which means the time in on the dive where the Winston's going to be protected is minimal. You saw him try to get out. He lost his mech and life shortly after. You want to go in with a full defense matrix if at all possible.
You definitely do, and I think part of that for New Zealand is that they did create some space. They weren't getting the fall through from their DPS, though, that you need with that level of opening. In Brazil, finally, they said, look, we can go back in. However, the next fight is underway. Legabril, this time much better, finding Maurice early on. A 6v5 opportunity for New Zealand, but with Gantus falling to Dudu from the back, Brazil can still very much fight this back. New Zealand flanked from both sides.
Well, they lost one, but that's because the counter dive came in right there. So they came in all up over the top. Legabril will get out with his life, but just, nope, never mind. Liko does chase him down on that Diva, and so far the defense holding very strong. So there's a couple different ways to handle a dive. You can retreat and catch the dive, which is a term we like to use. Go back and protect your supports and protect the heroes who are going to be staying back there. Or you can counter dive and see if you can be more effective on their back line. That's what they did there.
Dudu has been favoring coming in from the back, and it's really been hurting New Zealand when they try and dive in because they have that distraction to the back line where you can't ignore him, but if you focus on too much, your dive will be rough. Willix, though, the blade is charged. He's going to move in, and the Transcendence is out early. Now he gets to save his Dragon Blade. He's going to hold on to it, but now the Transcendence is gone, and the blade can come out to play. Moving to the back line, barrier or no barrier, slicing through the Zenyatta, and will be picking up Calera.
They do get 2, but there is a 2 in return already coming back right now. As I said, it's been a brawl between these two teams, known with a really clean fight. Right there, Brazil chose to catch the dive instead, step back with their ultimates, with their Transcending, trying to get the healing on. Not quite over yet, and at least they forced them to burn the sound barrier at about 90% progress.
And New Zealand now finding their groove, finding a bit of momentum. They will be taking this first point, and now their payload will be underway.
They will start going here. Not a whole lot left in the bank. As I said, they had a very late sound barrier there just to make sure that they were able to grab first point. Signed has been a bright spot for this team, able to take down tanks. He's hit his pulse bomb so far. That's the sound barrier they had, but I suppose you want to make sure you get that point.
Legabril right now looking for a little bit of sneakiness here, but no, going to find his counterpart in Winston, diving right in on him. Who bringing friends with him, and not really the good type.
Huwu. It's a fun name to say, a difficult name to say, because you want to say woohoo, but it's Huwu.
It's a case where it just messes with me. But you know what? Woohoo! Here comes New Zealand. They're going to be charging right in. Legabril, though, perhaps a little bit too eager, going to get focused down. New Zealand not able to keep up their take front lines. Dudu strikes again into the back. It's going to be 2 kills for Brazil as they do stabilize.
I wonder if he stuck Signed and Signed ran into Cantus, or it was the other way around. Generally, you don't see that happen. but we're going to actually get an instant replay. He did stick the Zenyatta, and then Sign might have just accidentally blinked into it. I've blinked into many of deaths accidentally as a Tracer.
We've seen many a time where, whether it be a Winston leaping into his Pharah or otherwise, that pulse bombs can be deadly if you're not aware that you've been stuck by them. But Brazil right now, holding firm on this defense. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left now for New Zealand as they look to go in. They're going to engage. Like a Brill directly to the back, but Brazil, they drop the sound barrier, and now they can layer the Transcendence. They're very healthy right now as they counter dive right back in New Zealand. No kills yet, though, for either team. Relatively bloodless here so far.
Being very aggressive on that defense is something I like to see. They do get the Primal Rage in there. It's going to knock Willix around. He's still looking for a window into this. Going to have to wait for that Transcend to go off, for that Light Bulb to go out. Cantus does fall for this team, though, so it might not be time for Transcend. You might want to back out of this one.
And that's the thing, is that support ultimates are the lifeblood of a team. So long as you have one up, you can keep your team alive, and that gives Maurice the opening to use the Attack Visor to clean this fight up relatively easily. New Zealand now very much fighting the clock on top of fighting Brazil. Only 1:40 remaining.
Well, it was smart for Will to not bust the blade out, Willx. He's going to have Dragon Blade for the next fight, and during that fight, they're going to have an enabling combo come on. The sound barrier into the Dragon Blade is much better than a Transcendent in Dragon Blade because that shield goes with you everywhere. You don't have to stay within the light of Zenyatta.
Sound barrier coming in, Willx taking the opportunity, diving right in, looking for targets, but no, he cannot dash again. He didn't get an initial kill. That's it. His mobility goes away, and he's not able to complete the kills. Brazil has been a master of disengagements here so far, and they're going to go back in. They might be down doo-doo, but they still use the barrier to push New Zealand back. However, one good support out deserves another. New Zealand is coming right back into this fight.
You mentioned massive disengages. It's been disengage after disengage. They've been so crisp on these calls to get out that New Zealand has looked foolish with several of these ultimates, and now the chase is on. They're not going to disengage from this fight, and they will not let New Zealand do so either. The chase gets to, and now New Zealand down to their last push through streets.
That dive from Neil was sublime. He got very low, used the Primal Rage at the right moment, stayed alive, and did enough disruption to really push New Zealand back. Hex, we are down to the final 30 seconds.
New Zealand might want to start it off with a self-destruct just to open up some room here. Who is going to have that up over the top in the corner? It can be decent on the streets phase, but they're going to have to dodge some Brazil DPS ults. There's Pulse Bomb and Visor up.
It connects. The Pulse Bomb gets on the Cantus in the back. The first kill to Brazil. 6 versus 5. The final opportunity for New Zealand, and they are losing player after player right now. Doo-Doo is unchanged, moving around the payload, and Willix, even though he pulls out the blade, he's pressured back. Doesn't quite get as much as he wants, as Brazil still the dominant presence on the payload, and now we are in overtime. You cannot back off in the payload if you're in New Zealand, but they are outgunned, they are outmatched, and Brazil about to close this out.
There's just much bigger bodies on the card for them right now. The tanks do finally join, but the people who were holding down the fort were also evicted from the carts. Both tanks now here, and the reinforcements have come in for the offense. Defense, one last stop for Brazil.
This is really big here, where Brazil, they were close to having it, but they did not give the reinforcements enough respect, and now New Zealand out of nowhere able to bring this back. We're still in overtime, but Brazil, I don't think they can stall this out anymore. No one is near, and New Zealand, they have bought themselves some extra time.
Generally, we see the tanks buying time for the DPS to get back into the fight. That time it was the DPS staying alive, blinking around the cart to keep the cart alive and buy time, and then the big bodies, the tanks came in, kept it alive for New Zealand. They got the second point, and in turn, they will get another minute to try to finish out King's Row.
It's still not a great situation for New Zealand, but they do have hope. Sound barrier now coming in. Ligabrill looking to create space into the front line. The barrier, though, has gone away. Huwu out of his mech, but Brazil holding strong here so far, able to disengage here once more, not getting thrown off too much by that Transcendence. It is 5v5 though, and here comes Neil.
Kansas has gotten revenge on Doo-Doo the last couple of times. New Zealand continues this push. It is a solid 6v4 right now with 1 DPS and 1 support down from the fight. Willix has a blade. Will he bust it out looking for the right? No! He eats a Helix instead.
It's very difficult to pull out your blade when you are dead, something that Willix is finding out right now. Still though, New Zealand keeping pressure onto the point right now. They have 30 seconds left, but they were trying to carry as much momentum as possible. However, with the blade, there is an opportunity here. There's no barrier or transcendence up to ruin his day.
This is tough. They've been banking ults, but the two ults, as you mentioned, the blood supports of this team, the support ult's not going to be there. They're going to open it up with a self-destruct, pushes them back into the corner. Willix eats a Helix again. Mira is shutting him down.
Helix rocking a Destiny from Maurice, taking down Willix early on, and that is big. They don't have to worry about the blade at this juncture as Maurice under pressure, and though he goes down, it's not enough for New Zealand. Brazil going to take map number 1 here on Kings Row.
It's a good look for them, and we highlighted it, but I want to talk about it again. Disengaging to me is a mark of an excellently communicating team, that they're able to call everyone get back. That requires for your DPS to disengage to pull back. It requires your Lucio to have the boost to pull your team back and get out of there, and Brazil did it time and again.
Really, disengagements are one of those things that can be underrated in Overwatch, where you don't have to take every fight. If you know a team is going to be investing heavy resources into a fight, if you can simply back out, you don't have to match resource for resource. You can simply go back in when that power spike is fading.
We even saw it in the previous match, and both Chinese Taipei and USA had excellent engages, and it was just who got the better disengage a lot of the time here. Brazil's disengages were a thing of beauty throughout Kings Row. And the next map we're going to go to will be Control Point. Sometimes a little more difficult to disengage. Sometimes you just don't want to disengage on Control. You just want to stay in and fight for as long as possible.
Absolutely correct. We're on Control so long as you have one person contesting. You could be losing the fight outright, but still gaining progress, because the name of the game in Control is getting full control of the point where the other team is not touching it, the point, for a set period of time. Then you flip it over in your favor. So the rules of engagement, a little bit different on Control maps relative to what you might see on a hybrid or payload map.
I think Willix has to feel special in the worst kind of way, because I think that Brazil figured out that that is what New Zealand wants to clutch around. Willix with great moments on his Dragon Blade, but if you notice towards the end, there's a reason that that Helix was always ready for Willix to come in, because the Helix rocket knocked him out a couple of times, but they're saving it for him. They know that he's going to get aggressive and dance around a little bit, and the Helix shut him down twice in a row. They know if they can shut down Willix that the rest of the team's going to have a difficult time getting kills.
Willix has been very big to New Zealand, but the problem is that when other teams realize that you are that problem, they work to isolate you and go, look, if we're going to lose to you, you're going to have to beat us with your other players. And for now, because New Zealand has been doing so much work with Willix, he is a bigger target for Brazil, and we saw him get focused, as you mentioned.
It's a strategy in every sort of team sport. You take away the best player from the other team, and you see if anyone else can step up. Now, for the New Zealand team, I would have to think it's got to be signed. He had some nice moments. He was sticking some pulse bombs, and I know you're a fan of this. We might see a little bit of Cowboy here.
Oh, anytime I see McCree, my heart just goes a flutter. You know me far too well. But if we ever saw a Junkrat on here, I know it'd be the same for you.
I do enjoy Junkrat as the spice of life. Also, I've been spoiled. My favorite hero is Tracer, and Tracer's just the best, so she's obviously in every meta. You know, when you're the best hero, you get to play in every single game. But New Zealand signed would be running that Tracer. Now he's on the anti-Tracer. This is New Zealand's style. I'm glad that they're trying it out. They wanted to run more tanks, they wanted to run slower, and this is a stage that allows it.
No doubt about it, and this is where New Zealand, they do like slowing it down. Kansas, under pressure early on, Dudu being a threat into the back, and that's going to let Brazil come in through the front. So what this will do more than anything else is that this is going to attract the attention to Sign, where he has to really pay respects to this Tracer, lest Dudu really disrupt his team. And it's going back and forth right now. Maurice, though, able to cut down Legabrill. His shield was broken, and now Brazil is going to move in. That is the danger of running a tank-heavy composition, where if the shield gets taken down, it's very difficult to actually hold your ground.
Great patience and coordination there, because Dudu did not get greedy and go in. They were trying to bait him in. That's why Willix went out there, so that he would chase him up the stairs and then get flashbanged by Sign. He only went in when he had the tank support to follow it up, the tanks who could call out where his counter was. A nice play from Brazil.
What you're seeing here is that a lot of damage is being thrown into that shield. Legabrill had to back up. Normally with the tank composition, you want to be the aggressors, you want to really fight in the opponent's face, but it's been difficult. But there's a Graviton Surge coming up from Huwu, but matched immediately by the Transcendence. That keeps Brazil alive, and they can now go right back in. Here comes Attack Visor.
Just a second too late on that anti-heal. An anti-heal can completely shut down the Transcend. You want grab and anti-heal going in right one after another, so that you can clean up everyone that you grabbed into the Graviton, but unable to do that means that Brazil will flip it back on the punishment and take control of the point again.
Very good stuff here from Brazil. And New Zealand, even though they did show a bit of life there, they only end up with 13%, so they don't have that much to show for it. This next fight, more of a must-win for them, where we need to see something big out of Willix.
It's just a misstep that you get the grab, you got everyone in it, and the anti-heal's too late. The anti-heal needed to be there earlier.
Heal right now, lots of cleave damage coming in. It's nice from Brazil, and they pile on the self-destruct, taking down Willix. We were talking about Willix having to have a good fight there. Not gonna happen when you get blown up by a diva.
It's been a quiet game so far for the New Zealand DPS here. You can run a slower style, you can run more tanks, but at the end of the day, if you're not getting eliminations, it's gonna be very difficult to get onto the points. Willix has to be the initiator. I mean, maybe give him a Zarya shield to get in. They should be able to get better entry because of their tanks, but still getting bullied back by just the Winston and Diva.
Brazil is making it very difficult for New Zealand to get through corridors, but here comes a Nano Blade and Barrier. Willix, everything on him. Can he convert? No kills here just yet. Chases Lucio to the wall and will be taking him right down. So a heavy cost extracted here, but one that should pay New Zealand's toll for reflipping this point.
The Nano Blade does cost them 2 ultimates, as is the nature of that, and that's exactly what you need to happen afterwards. You need to win that fight. They were able to take down both supports. Nice target selection there for the New Zealand squad to take them down, and now this is a great position for them. 2 of the best ultimates in the game are Earthshatter and Graviton Surge. They've got both of them up. It's going to be hard for Brazil to come back in here.
New Zealand simply asks, do you want to hug your teammates or do you want to hug the ground? They have both available, and they're going to open up here with the Graviton. Is the fall through going to be there? It's a little bit awkward. They don't get it immediately. Now, like bro, make them hit the ground. He drops the Earth Shatter, but I'm not sure it's enough. The Transcendence keeps Brazil very much alive as Dudu strikes the back.
Earth Shatter came in way late. There was already 2 down. You're going to invest an ultimate there when you have no cleanup. Even if he had knocked the rest of the team down, the cleanup would not have been there. This results in Brazil taking the point back, and now it's desperation time for New Zealand. Just going to throw bodies on the point. Are they able to get here?
It is in overtime right now. Willix lucky that he didn't get that blade killed a moment before. He'll still have it, but he's not going to be able to get back. Brazil able to clean up control on the point. 1 round away, Hex, from being up a swift 2-0 over this New Zealand team.
Huwu almost got there towards the end and then just got booped off the edge. The search for the gold down there, but based on what Doe said, the gold probably belongs to the robot technicians and the anti-freeze salesman, not Mandata.
It's very possible. I mean, at some point you do also have to pay for that anti-freeze. You don't keep robots in working order up here without quite a bit of maintenance. It is a harsh environment.
Yeah, you need a mechanic. You need a solid mechanic. I bet you there's a lot of mechanics in Nepal.
Torbjorn's brother is actually a monk. He lives up here.
Yeah.
That's a true untold story.
So he's bald, but he still has the enormous beard, is what you're telling me.
Oh, you can't sacrifice the beard. It's actually, it would kill him if you removed it.
It's the source of his power, like Samson. All right, well, here we are on the second stage of Nepal. Brazil up 1-0 in the stage, 1-0 in the set. New Zealand trying to take some zeros off the board, and, you know, at this point, I'm kind of rooting for them. I want everyone to win.
Everyone getting at least a point on the board would be fun. You don't want to look back at your World Cup record and see nothing but goose eggs. And for New Zealand, they have shown flashes of brilliance, but they haven't been able to put together for a full round here just yet. Brazil, better positioning early on, and they find Cantus immediately. Cantus not able to stick with his friends for that fight. He's taken down, and now Brazil really starting to put control of this fight in their favor. The tank play, sublime.
They almost brought it back as they were able to take down support for support. Signed was the one who got in the back end and was able to take down the opposing Lucio, which is actually no small feat for a Tracer without your own Zenyatta to give him discorded. But then, you're right, it's been Neil. Neil's been crushing some of these fights. His follow-up leaps onto these remaining support have been great, and now you're seeing Mura's flex over to the Diva. It reminds me a bit of the Rogue team, where depending on which 2 DPS they want to run, the odd man out has to run the Diva. Gets to run the Diva.
The pleasure of running the Diva. But hey, Diva can be a great glory, as we saw from Cool Matt earlier in the day, so let's not hate too much. Liko moving into the backline. Zenyatta is his prey, and he goes too deep. New Zealand able to protect Cantus in the back, keep him alive, and now the counter engage is coming back in. 4 unanswered kills here from New Zealand off of what was far too aggressive of a dive from Brazil.
They will end up taking this point. It's just a matter of how long Dudu can stall it, how much percentage points his life is worth. Seems about 5 there as Willix on the cleanup. Willix angry, and he's going to have the blade for the next fight as well. New Zealand now starts putting progress on the board as well. They cannot lose this stage without losing the map.
This is going to be a bit of an ultimate showdown coming up here, where we know that Neil has a Primal Rage and Liko has a Blade. New Zealand will have a Blade of their own and a Transcendence a little bit later into the fight. This will be a crucial fight to deciding who takes this round, so a lot at stake here for both teams as they set up. It very well could be Blade v Blade.
And no team with a distinctive ultimate advantage. A lot of this is just going to be about execution. Liko's going to bust it out first, tries to find a target to Transcend down there, is going to keep Lucio alive, even with the Discord on him. That Blade might as well be made out of styrofoam. It does nothing.
Not exactly what Liko was looking for this time. New Zealand working the corners right now. 4-on-4 though, still even. Kansas in trouble. Liko gonna grab him. Able to redeem himself in the middle of this fight. Finally going to fall though, as Huwu might be the glue for New Zealand and holding on to this, but it's very close.
Well, fights like this that are very back and forth favor the team which is already in control. You need a full eviction. A nice pulse bomb late from Dudu means that they will eventually have the numbers on the point as reinforcements should come in. The 3 remain on the point for New Zealand. Brazil can come back in here with a little bit better force because of that late pulse bomb, but I think they're just going to try to fully regroup.
Brazil right now, they do have options, but they don't have a whole lot of time. At 70%, if this next fight goes along, it could be their final attempt. So crucial to them right now is a good barrier engage. It'd be even better if they could bait it out New Zealand first, but for Brazil, they're more likely to use it early. Gabriel goes in, and he forces out the barrier from Brazil, but Calero's down already. A good start here from New Zealand.
That was a beautiful dive. That's exactly what you want out of your dive, is your Winston and Tracer to hit the same target at the exact same time. Calero never knew what hit him. He didn't even have time to discord either one of those leaping divers in on him. Just down before that fight even starts, and that will end the fight. New Zealand probably going to take this stage. Brazil going to have a hard time even getting there. They shut down Lucio before he can touch the point, and we got a game of Nepal on our hands.
Both teams finding a way in here thus far, and though Brazil started out strong, New Zealand able to strike right back, and if they are able to take the next round, they will even up the series 1-1.
It was a nice game there from Signed. He was able to get there and work well with Legabriel. The dive was a much more coordinated. The coordination overall seemed better on that stage than it did on the previous stage, and those things need to come together. The coordination in Overwatch is so precise. You need to hit things within a fraction of a second to have them work out correctly. If you're a half second too late on anything from an ultimate combination to a healing orb, you're going to lose that fight.
And we've seen those break points here so far. And the good thing for New Zealand is that because they win on Brazil, with Legabriel diving right in, it immediately triggered the barrier, which let New Zealand layer in their support ultimate a little bit later. But here comes New Zealand right now. They're going to be fighting the high ground. They take the initiative a little bit early on, and Brazil very much poked down, but so is New Zealand. It is back and forth right now, and Dudu tries to clean up. It's 4-on-4, and Huwu right now is being the hero for New Zealand.
Well, he's going to have to be. Brazil running a composition that maybe New Zealand was not exactly planning for. They've got a Pharah and Mercy in the skies. That's where a majority of their damage is coming from with these damage-boosted rockets. This is a stage where you can slightly avoid the Pharah Mercy if you have good control early on. And now they have to fight down on the ground, and first capture will go to Brazil. And I wonder if New Zealand's going to switch anything up here. You need something to at least pressure this combination of Pharah Mercy out of the sky.
Well, some teams, when they see Pharah Mercy, they try to just dominate the ground, or they try and make their Genji be anti-air. Neither option is usually ideal, but it can work depending on the situation and how good the Pharah is. No matter what, though, Brazil has put themselves in a really good position. And you see Maurice really delaying New Zealand here with these rockets coming in over the top. They have to respect it, and it slows them down for their next attempt.
Well, this is the great thing about having control of the point as you have a Pharah Mercy. You're getting free damage over the top all the time, and anytime that anyone spreads out, you get that happening. Willix eats a giant rocket, Neil there for the cleanup.
But what we saw there is that it really disrupted the timing from New Zealand, where Willix probably thought more people were in with them, but they were just recovering from Maurice, peppering them with rockets from above. So that is the power of this Pharah right now, and also how New Zealand has not necessarily dealt with it all that well.
The spacing and positioning was not necessarily there for New Zealand. You saw 2 tanks come in and Willix, and they all went their own separate ways. That is no way to deal with the Pharah and Mercy. Right now, they do discord the Pharah, but they have to have some follow-through. You generally want to see a 76 in this situation because the skybox is so high on this map that Pharah's so out of reach.
Well, they were looking to the sky, but did they get the weather report? Because right now, there could be some rain. Maurice looking for an opportunity, but while he's doing this, Willix takes down everyone on the point. Maurice, control your house, man. Oh, my goodness.
Well, the dead live yet again, though, because Resurrection is going to undo all of that hard work as Maurice comes back in. They've not been able to take control yet, and now able to get back onto the point, trying to deal with the remainder of these tanks. It's fine to kill a lot of people on the other team, but if you don't kill a Mercy who's been alive the entire game, you're going to have problems as she brings everyone else back to life. They do sneak in a cap there towards the end, does New Zealand.
So the good part about New Zealand on this push here, though, they've really yet to secure this out. Respawn's coming in both sides, and Brazil, oh no, they got to recap it. Not just yet. New Zealand gets back in. They drop the beat. Calero's down, so even though they got a little bit dicey, Brazil should be getting thrown back. But to go back to what we were talking about before, New Zealand immediately going for the cover of the point was very good. It didn't leave Maurice with options to shoot.
It's the smartest way to deal with it. If you're not going to try to take out a threat from the Pharah and Mercy, you can somewhat ignore them. There's a house. It's got a roof. It's good to be under a roof when it's raining justice from above. Willix also with the huge cleanup. He just hero plays there. The res does come out. He's trying to anti-air Pharah.
You know what time it's not good to be under a roof? When there's a ninja in your house with a katana. That's the time where you want to get away from that roof. So it really, both teams with differing goals there.
See, I would never notice the ninja in my house because he's a ninja.
Well, he would save you for last because he feels like you would have the most terror.
All right, fair enough. Well, the damage boosted rockets do come in over the top, and that is a huge kill from Neil on the ground, off screen, able to take out Willix as he is going to be part of the answer to this. Justice about to rain, does find an angle here.
Well, he finds an angle, but the door was effectively slammed. That is good weatherproofing if I've ever seen it, but the Resurrection is back up in Brazil. Not quite out of this fight yet. Calero giving them a bit of life. Marie's back in this fight, but with Calero going down, he's not going to have much to sustain, and he will fall again.
A Resurrection to stay even is not the res that you want. You want reses to give yourself an advantage. Kind of forced his hand right there. They had to use it. They thought maybe Mirrors could bring it back for him. And New Zealand's done a great job of controlling this point. It's difficult to take the point back as Pharah and Mercy. You want to be in control, get free damage, have free reign of the sky. Now they're prepared for it. Very likely the last fight incoming here, ZP.
Well, here's the thing. New Zealand can treat Brazil to their House of Horrors right now, where they can go inside, avoid the rockets, and bring the blade. Willix, though, holding into the back, and he's going to the house once more. The blade is out. One immediately looking for more. Getting juked. Razzle Dazzle coming in from Dudu, and he's able to really mitigate most of that Dragon Blade. Still, though, Willix in the fight, reflects the rocket, and it's overtime for Brazil, where they must stay on this point.
This has been great from New Zealand. After the first push incoming onto the Pharah Mercy, they've really figured out that it is this area in which they want to fight. Willix has done a lot of work. Mures will take down Signed, but New Zealand gets on the board. No more goose eggs for either of these teams.
This group, now every team has a map victory. No one is going home without at least something to be proud of.
It makes me happy. You know I don't like zeros on the board.
No, not least.
They were 0 and 8. You know what the 0 said to the 8?
I do not.
Nice belt. Yeah, my jokes are pretty much gum wrapper, popsicle stick level at this point.
All right, well, thank you very much. And guys, we're going to be throwing over the desk to talk to us about how to improve your joke game.
Well, I would say, you know what, that's actually, let's just do that.
I don't know if this is the place to improve anyone's joke game.
I'm hilarious.
That depends on your jokes.
Yeah,
right,
we could
Joe?
definitely improve Alex's a little bit.
True.
What are you talking about? I am a beacon of hilarity, and everyone on the internet knows that.
And you're humble, too.
Yes, very humble.
Very humble.
I'm the most humble person.
Actually, I think I'm more humble than you. I'm
Really?
the most humble of all of us.
I disagree with how.
Well then.
We could do this all day. So, all right. Well, hey, guys, we got ourselves a match here, which is exactly what we wanted. New Zealand and Brazil 1-1. No one's going with goose eggs there. So that is a great thing for both teams here. They're both fighting, which is amazing to see. Flame, let's take a look at some of these highlights and replays here. I want to get your thoughts on this matchup thus far.
I mean, I think everyone's been playing pretty well. It's just they're not putting it all together. Both teams are really playing pretty scrappy. They're just throwing fights at each other. Blades are coming out. You see some pulse bombs. Incredible individual plays from a lot of players. Dudu's been having a pretty standout performance, I would say, on the Tracer. So is Signed. It starts to hurt them, though, as you started seeing at the end there on Nepal, where they come out with the Mercy Pharah, and suddenly New Zealand isn't so versed on the 76, so it works for a little bit. But again, New Zealand's getting a lot of value out of Cantus, actually. I was pretty impressed with him, specifically on Zenyatta. I think Dudu got the best of him on the beginning of King's Row, but then as we got through the match, I felt like Cantus was winning the 1v1s of the Zenyatta against the Tracer. And even on the end, I think he was cleaning up a lot of kills on Winston, on Diva, in that last stage in Nepal, and it's just, he's elevating his game, and I know a lot of people were doubting him coming into this tournament, But I think he's definitely made a name for himself, and he's performing above and beyond, I think, expectations.
Yeah, and I know. So you're personally excited for New Zealand to get on the board, get that victory there on Nepal.
I'm so happy. I'm so pleased. It looked a bit scary at the beginning with that pharmacy in that very last round where I almost thought they're going to lose it because, I mean, Colero on that Mercy, he was alive for like forever. They literally didn't really focus him down. So also their positioning going into the last point there was a bit questionable. However, they did pull it together and they did take advantage of having the ground advantage. As the caster already mentioned, like for Pharmacy, like you can't really...
It is challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, but they took advantage of that and really capitalized on their composition in that regard. So, yeah, I'm super happy for them that I have a point now on the board.
Yeah, I passed by Avril, the committee member, excuse me, and he was like, "Golden Boy, we got this. This is our game." I was like, "Yeah, dude." I like it. Just like the the attitude, and everyone's been super awesome. Rachel, though, Brazil, they're gonna have to pick this next map here. Certainly something I'm sure they didn't expect.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for them. I feel like Brazil, they did bring out their triple DPS at the start of King's Row. That was something that Flame said he wanted to see. And I feel like for Brazil, there's a bunch of really delicious things on this plate, right? There's some great disengages from Neil, great stuff from Urs on the Pharah, great zoning overall by the team. But it's not plated very well. It's a little bit messy still. So somebody needs to take the napkin, clean that up a little bit, and reserve it.
Or MasterChef.
We just had lunch. I'm still thinking about food. It's
Catering here has been phenomenal.
Yes. There you go. There you go. Shout out to the catering team. All right, guys. Well, while this game has been awesome, we are going to have to take a break. But it's not the break that you're thinking about, baby. No, no, not a commercial. No, it's T-Mobile Unlimited Gaming Break.
All right, I'm here with the charismatic Noah Winston, CEO of the Immortals. We got to watch Agilities do his thing last week. How was it for you to see one of your team players out there doing their thing here at the World Cup?
Agilities is like a young kid, but he is a superstar in the making, and people see the mechanics at work on stage, but they don't see the like awesome person in team comms and in the team environment behind it, so he is the complete package.
You know what, I feel like you can say the same for a lot of the players on the Immortals team. You have like a group of these young, down-to-earth, really cool guys. How was it putting that team together for you?
I think when we were scouting for a team, we really prioritized not just guys that were good right now, but the guys that are going to be the best 2, 3, 5 years from now. So these are tremendously talented young kids that are hungry, driven, and are ready to win.
No, you got to appreciate the foresight on that for sure. All right, so let's look forward to Overwatch League. What does it mean to have a team here in Los Angeles?
I mean, Los Angeles is the home of esports. We've got an awesome Los Angeles crowd here right now. I am not above pandering to them, and we are ready to bring home championships for the city of Los Angeles.
Word. All right, so I got to ask you, as far as the Overwatch World Cup goes, who are you rooting for?
Well, in this match, based on our Counter-Strike team, I got to support Brazil. We're supporting those guys, but of course, Team USA overall for today.
Okay, I love it, I love it. Everybody give it up for Noah here. And that was your T-Mobile Unlimited Gaming Break. Back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Malik. We should get Noah Winston on the desk here with how great he panders out to the crowd, you know? Like, that's just some T1 pandering there.
Yeah, it was like almost Golden Boy level.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
We'll get you there, Noah. We'll get you there. In any case, so we're getting ready for Games 3 here. Players are now lining up and taking a seat at the stage here. So real quick, I want to get some thoughts. Where do you think we're going to go for Game 3 here?
This one, it's a bit hard for me to really tell, because obviously going up against a team which does play together on Volskaya might not be the best choice. However, Horizon, if you didn't really get to practice anything, also maybe not the best choice. So I'm still going to pick Horizon.
So it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, Rachel?
I can back you up on that one. We talked to Brazil. We know they're making the map choice here, and we know that they want to go to Horizon Lunar Colony. So unless they think there's some real advantage for mixing things up with the Volskaya pick, I think that's where they're going to be most comfortable.
And Flame, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think they've both gotten brutalized on both maps between the first 2 days, so I don't think either of them is really feeling too good, but maybe they might slide in a Volskaya depending on if Brazil's going to bust out their Sombra. We've seen a little bit of it from Colero, but I'm not sure if they want to use that to their advantage.
All right, well, I was told that we are going to go to a quick break real fast. Players are getting all lined up and ready to go here. So we thank you so much for joining us here. Still plenty more to come as Games 3 and 4 are going to take place right after the break. Don't go anywhere. The 2017 Overwatch World Cup continues after this.
The Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by Omened by HP, T-Mobile, and Blizzard Entertainment.
If you want to stay on top of your game, then you need T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. We doubled our coverage, so you can stream the Overwatch World Cup where you are. Now share every epic team res and victory in more places than ever before. That's another reason why T-Mobile is America's best unlimited network.
Welcome back, everyone, here to the 2017 Overwatch World Cup Los Angeles group stage as we get ready for games 3 and 4 in this matchup between Brazil and New Zealand. If you're just joining us here, it's all knotted up at 1-1. This is looking to be a very exciting game. So let's go ahead and send it over to your casters, ZP and Hexagrams.
Dramatic pause. But thank you, Golden Boy. And we are going to the moon, Hex, for map number 3. Both of these teams have had a strong showing here so far on their final day. But we'll see which team will win it on the moon.
No surprise that they want to go to Lunar Colony here. It's, of course, Brazil's map choice. This is the map they prefer. But also, I wonder if maybe they're going to take a page out of the U.S.'s book and run the Pharah and Mercy on their offense here. It's worked out so well for them. And although it didn't work perfectly on Nepal, that's because there's a roof and there's a hut to hide in. There's no such cover on Lunar Colony.
No, Lunar Colony, they did not think that they'd have to worry about much weather here. I mean, it is the moon, but you know what, Rockets, can you really count on that?
No, it's very difficult. So I'm excited for a couple things. One, I would like to see a pilot diva launch into orbit again. That was very amusing to me yesterday. I'm a big fan of when that happens to Baby Diva. And also, I think we did solve the trash problem that they were discussing earlier for this map. You don't try to throw it into the sun, that's too far away to target. You throw it at the earth, and hopefully it lands in a garbage can.
Well, it lands on a garbage can, or it takes out a villain. Like, you could be a superhero right there. You're trash man.
Yeah, exactly. Or it just burns up on re-entry. So, I mean, the trash problem will be solved, although they have Roombas somewhere on this this map here. Little floor cleaning robots. What is your purpose? You clean floors. Oh, my God.
You know what? I'll take that over passing butter. At least at that point, I feel like
I don't think you would. I think you would pass the butter as the robot, because then you'd be taking little
Oh, I would be stealing the butter.
Yeah.
It'd be like, here's a small chunk of butter. Where did the rest of the butter go?
You'd be you'd be the worst butter passing robot. You'd be thieving butter constantly.
I proudly take the title of butter thief. I actually identify as that. But as we look here at the defense for New Zealand, anything really surprising you here, Hex?
Defensively, not entirely. This is a decent map for running your Diva and Winston. A dive defense works just fine here. I guess Cantus on the Ana could be a little bit interesting, but he's been running all sorts of different supports here. Brazil did show us that they were queued up on the Pharah and Mercy, but they're just going to run pure dive instead, and they want to run a Genji and Tracer, which means Miraz will be the one on Diva duty.
That's a nice little fake out, though. Brazil is looking like they're going to go to the left. Now they went to the right. New Zealand, they took the bait for a moment. They were in hot pursuit, then realized, wait, they haven't committed to this here just yet. Brazil with nice positioning, and they forced Like a Brill out. He was almost poked down here early on, so a little bit of moving here from Brazil that caught New Zealand off guard.
Alamo's done a really good job of deterring these DPS from coming in. It's been both Tracer and Genji behind him the whole time. However, Legabrill is the one who draws the first blood here. They're able to take down both supports, and for all intents and purposes, this push is over ZP.
Well, you can have all the razzle-dazzle in the world, but it doesn't matter when you get punched right in the face, and that is what just happened there. Oh, no, it's happening!
Oh, yeah!
Blood for the blood god! Or the moon god. Whatever, there's a pile of divas down there. I don't think he's keeping count at this point.
A little snooze and a slide off the edge of the moon. It actually looked kind of peaceful. I wanted to see her suffer a little more, to be honest. Well, Brazil's going to have to reset a little bit here as they try to push back. And the fight was all New Zealand. That's reflected in the ultimate charges right now, as both their DPS have it as well, and Cantus gets to choose who gets the extra power of the nano boost.
Brazil right now, multiple options. They look to go straight the gut, but it's a rough engagement here so far. Willix taking both supports out because they were abandoned by their tanks. The tanks of Brazil just went in one by one without a lot of rhyme or reason, and they are able to even up. Both supports are down for the defense, so now No one gets heals, and Brazil, they're working this to their advantage despite how that opened up.
Well, it's extremely back and forth. This might end up favoring a little bit for the defense here as the reinforcements should be there a touch quicker, and they're able to stall out the points. Still no progress. They're going to double down, does Brazil, as they launch in Neo with a Primal Rage. He's been so strong for this team today.
No doubt about it. And Brazil now, they're in a more dominant position. Their respawn wave is coming in. They have a Transcendence for this next fight. New Zealand has to tread lightly here. They will have a barrier up, but they don't have much time. They're already down 2 ticks. They're going to engage, but Brazil is holding strong right now. And so far, New Zealand not able to crack this offense.
Brazil's going to have the better support ults. In fact, they're just going to have the better supports because both supports now down for New Zealand, and that is going to lead to everyone else falling quickly in turn. But you know what? It's an assault map. It's first point on assault. A pretty solid defense overall from New Zealand just to buy some time there.
It's decent time bought on first. I wouldn't call it a great first point defense, but it's better than getting wiped out immediately. Brazil, though, they have momentum, and this is dangerous for New Zealand. They have to have a really good sound barrier here to deal with this engage. Brazil, they double down. The barrier is in, and Liko, he's going to wait out the barrier from New Zealand and then go in with the blade. He's just biding his time, and there it is. The blade is out. Finds Kantas immediately, cutting him down, looking for more, dashing through, and Brazil, it's almost a clean sweep. New Zealand is in trouble.
It's going to be a miracle for New Zealand if they can get back here. They're now switching over to a stall kind of composition as they put a Mei in. That is Kantas, who's their main support, going to be on the Mei, trying to get back out here just to stall the points. They do have a body there. That's Kantas. Is he even on it? They are so close to capturing it, 96%. There it is. There's the cap as Brazil completes Horizon Lunar Colony.
Kantas goes to the Mei there at the end, but definitely melts a bit under the pressure. So,
boo.
Look, I just need to be in a competition for you here for the most just ha-has we can find.
Dude, that joke is great. You know, because an 8 looks like a 0 wearing a belt. Do I have to explain it to you?
No.
It's just bad? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Brazil does capitalize on their offensive push there. New Zealand going to try to match that one here and maybe do another round of Horizon Lunar Colony. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually very relieved that both of these teams won a map. I mean, I was very worried. I don't want anyone going home with that 0 there, the goose egg as we call it, the squadouche as it's colloquially referred to.
The pressure is off. There's no doubt about it. At this point where no matter what you could say, you at least got a map, but it would be just a little bit sweeter if you were to come back and at least win a full series. So both these teams, they are playing for pride. I mean, and talking with them before the event, they do take playing for their country relatively seriously. So no one wants to go out without winning a series.
I'm rooting for a draw here. More points for everyone. You get a point. You get a point. Everyone gets a point.
Like, Oprah would be proud, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give away cars. I'm going to give away fake points.
I'd be more worried you'd be giving away bees.
Bees? Bees? All right, we are set up here now on Horizon Lunar Colony as Brazil will be playing the role of defense now. New Zealand looks for their offense. Anything out of the ordinary sticking out to you, ZP?
Take a look at this offense right now. No, I mean, the one thing I will note on the offense from New Zealand here is that they're very much sticking with the similar setup where they're going with Tracer Genji into the double tank of Diva Winston. And I would just take note of Huwu here, where Lygabrill, if Huwu is with him, can do very well at opening the way, but sometimes Lygabrill goes in without Huwu, and then it doesn't quite end as well. So tank coordination is something to look out for here for New Zealand.
It might be a little bit difficult. Brazil is running a triple DPS defense, which means a ton of damage. Anti-heal already in it. Neo capitalizes it. That's a lot of damage right there. 3 gone in the blink of an eye.
Add another to the pile.
But she was in the mech. That should have saved her life. It's like a spacesuit, right?
It was a poorly made mech. It was not made for space travel.
We've seen it been hit by cars before, so that mech is a bargain mech for sure. But it's just beautiful right there. The anti-heal, the dive in to soften them up, and then the dash through on the stairs when everyone's crowded up. That fight was over in the blink of an eye. A beautifully executed defensive dive from Brazil.
It was lightning fast too. New Zealand, if you blinked, you would have missed their supports going down. And again, Brazil, not wanting to give this up for free. Dudu off the flank, but each some shurikens there to the head. He's down immediately. And New Zealand, they get some time to lick their wounds here. They're wounded, but they have only lost one here so far. However, with Lico finding Willex, this gives Brazil a little bit more room to work with.
This is nearly over. That's 2 kills. They lost Cantus right away on the entry, and it was Neil, yet again, who's been a big mark of a very impressive Winston is can you land the initial jump damage, and it makes your job so much easier, and it makes your DPS job that much easier. There goes another support for New Zealand. They have to try something different because this path is closed.
Lico has been absolutely shut down right now in his play, where New Zealand, anytime they try to move in, Lico is there and able to take them down. And his reward is that he has a Dragon Blade in the reserve, and Calero, more than willing perhaps to power it up. This could be an electric fight here for Lico.
I wonder if they're going to send Signed in first to try to distract in the back lines. Going in with the tanks first has not worked, but here comes a Nano Blade into the back line. Lico taken down though. Nice play from Legabriel. Nice catch.
Power was cut there. Not quite as electric as he would have hoped, and New Zealand was ready for the Nano Blade. Now New Zealand has a much better opportunity moving in here. They have the man advantage. Big ultimates are down. Pulse Bomb from Dudu goes in, but does not get the kill. New Zealand now in a great position to take this point.
Brazil had the ultimate advantage, but they spent 2 onto that Nano Blade, and the Nano Blade only got 1 kill in return. Not exactly the return on investment that you're looking for. They finally have a decent position here, does Brazil, but New Zealand also in a very solid position themselves. We'll see what Brazil can do here on the defense. They need to get in here and stop this point.
Lico doing better without ultimates, as it turns out. Finds Cantus, and Maurice with the tack visor looking for targets. But it's Willex in the back with the blade, slicing through, gets both supports with Birdie, and makes it a triple kill to finish this out with style. New Zealand now on the hunt.
Nearly every fight that they've won in this entire tournament has been off the back of Willex's blade. He has shown some brilliant play. Here you have to give credit to his Lucio as well, as he's going to get the sound barrier, keeps him nice and healthy as he slashes through the opposing team. Now they're going to have time to try to close out this map.
Willex just not respect his Indiana Jones there, where if the sword versus the gun's supposed to win. Not in that case. He closed the gap, dealt with the tack visoring soldier, and now New Zealand with a prime opportunity. They will get no better as EMP is not charged up right now.
Well, Cantus might just initiate with this Transcend, as he's been the prime target of this Brazil team, and he's gone down very quickly. They do make some changes here. Calero's going to be on the Sombra for the Brazilian team on their defense. He's going to need a little bit of time to get EMP. They need to win this fight if they want to have the Sombra have an impact.
2 nice opening kills here for New Zealand. If they're able to heal up and stabilize, this could be big. Calero still a long ways away from the EMP. Lico is going to have to put a lot on his shoulders right now. Has the blade for the defense, but not a great opportunity right now. Now he's under pressure. Does he go in or does he wait for his team? There's the barrier. Here comes the blade. Lico finds his counterpart, looks for more. Zenyatta versus Genji, and Huwu with the save. Cantus bailed out.
Going to be enough, though, for Brazil to stabilize on this defense. And when you switch compositions in the manner in which Brazil did, you need to win the fight right after, and you need to do so mostly on raw mechanics or on the heroes that didn't switch their compositions, which is exactly what you saw there. Mirez was on Reaper. He was at 50%. He's going to switch over to 76 instead. But most importantly, Calero, who made the switch onto Sombra, is nearing an EMP for this next fight.
And this is where Ultimate Economy can become so difficult here for New Zealand, where Calero can chain EMPs and give breathing room for the rest of this Brazilian team. So New Zealand right now, they're moving in, but they lose Willex immediately. And given the fact that the EMP is up, this fight is already over.
Yeah, given the fact that they lost Willex, it doesn't matter if an EMP is up or not. He has been the saving grace for this team. He is the initiator and the finisher. And I mean, even whatever middle part of a fight is, he's also that for this team. They are on the cleanup now, and now Brazil will take their advantage and stretch it even further.
The staggering going out there, and Huwu not able to get out in time, but at least they're not throwing divas into the pile anymore.
I get amused. And there's something funny about when people die in zero gravity. I don't know what it is. It's the slow motion aspect of it, I suppose. Well, New Zealand has won fights based on Willex's blade, and Willex about to have a blade. He does see that the Sombra is in there somewhere, trying to reveal her by doing just a little bit of damage. Behind, he does find the Sombra, but Sombra says, bye, I will see you later. She's got the translocator, but he does fall. Calero down.
Calero is out. There is no EMP. A huge opportunity now for New Zealand, able to leap right in off of that early pickoff, and Maurice gets his head chopped right off. Willex there with the plays, and New Zealand coming in with power, coming in with style. The Transcendence is out, and Brazil is on the back foot.
There's a combo here available. Not anymore as Liko goes down. The EMP wanted to set up for that Dragon Blade so he could clean up the remainder of that. New Zealand will finish out the map. A little lesser of a time, but we will go to another round of Lunar Horizon Colony. Horizon Lunar Colony, sorry.
Either way, we're on the
three
moon.
words, yeah. They should have just called it the moon.
That would make things easier. But no, it's a lunar colony that is no longer a lunar colony. Whatever.
I think there was a dangerous hamster that escaped, if I remember the lore correctly.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for a hamster hero who like is in one of those those hamster plastic balls. You know what I'm talking about?
He's Lord of the Diva Pit now. That is his domain.
Lord of the Diva Pit.
But what we saw there was that even though New Zealand did not quite get as quick of a time as Brazil, they kept themselves in this game, and this is where, for New Zealand, you can make a bit of a comeback. If they can strike into point A immediately, not waste too much time, then maybe you're looking at the momentum where you do end up with 4 points and you make things a lot more difficult for Brazil. A lot is going to depend on this first defense coming out from Brazil and whether or not they can stall New Zealand once more.
Yeah, twice the amount of time here. I think New Zealand has to learn from their last offensive push that they can't necessarily go that right side. Brazil seems to have that one figured out, that defense on lockdown. The anti-heal, the jump in, and then Liko dashing through. They should probably spread out a little bit more. When they were successful, actually, they opened up a little bit of space by Sign going through the back already and then making them respond to him, open up the front lines, and then the rest of the team was able to come in.
New Zealand now underway. Of course, they would very much like to get this map for pride, if nothing else. And they're going straight up the gut. No subterfuge here this time. They're going straight in immediately, and they get onto the point. Sign, though, under pressure early on. Has to use the rewind in the beginning, and Willix not able to stay alive. Liko now getting the work in the back, dashing through, in New Zealand in a little bit of disarray. It's 5-on-5.
Yeah, it's going to be closer. Legabro missed a couple of jumps there. I think he hit his shin on a barrier on the way up and was unable to complete his dive and slowed down the offense there. New Zealand now looking for a little bit more entry. A slow going here, but they will finally get decent positioning here on their push. But it's not great to go slow when you have this limited amount of time. We're below 90 seconds for the offense.
New Zealand cannot just work around here for positioning. They need to engage, and then if they lose, get another engage. Maurice, though, this time able to take down Legabro, and Brazil, this is where they can posture more aggressively. New Zealand, they have to back up and respect this because Brazil will overwhelm them with the numerical advantage. New Zealand might be going down to their final attempts here in just a moment.
Yeah, such a slow push that now we're getting under a minute. Maybe they're just trying to charge up ults and go all in on one fight, but that does allow Brazil to do the exact same. As Calero nears his nano, that nano can be traded in for any other ultimate too, as everyone is about 70%. By the time the nano ends, they will have their own ult as well.
New Zealand now moving in for what could be their final attempt here on Horizon, looking for weakness. They get Calero down immediately. This is going to force a response from Liko. Liko with the blade, finds Birdie, looking for more. He's getting the slashes and damage in, but it's not enough. He's going to fall. Maurice, though, in from the other side, the tac visor striking blood, and the DPS of Brazil are finding ways of delaying New Zealand here.
New Zealand is going to pull back, wait for the remainder, and try one last push here. Maybe they knock down the front door. Is that a mega?
No, it's a hacked mega. That is a trap. You need to throw it away immediately. You are in danger. Sombra is watching you. But now New Zealand coming in for their final attempt, looking for a way in. And Willix has a blade. He can keep them alive here for another 30 seconds if they are able to take this. But the barrier is out. Willix moves in, looking for the soldier, getting kited around, not able to land those immediate shots. And meanwhile, Dudu doing terrible damage to the backline of New Zealand.
Willix was already so patient. I'm not sure why he busted out the blade as soon as he saw the sound barrier. At best, he was going to get one off of that. Calero and Mures will stay alive together with the anti-heal and the cleanup. No progress on the point for the New Zealand second push.
And that's tough given the amount of time that Brazil is going to have for their first point attack, and also tough when you consider how Brazil was able to take point A relatively quickly. So, dangerous times here for New Zealand. Not impossible to hold in the situation and force a tie, but easier said than done.
It was odd because it was a case of impatience, or patience causing impatience. They took too long in their first couple of pushes. Then at the end, he was being very patient with the blade. Sound barrier came off, and then he pulled the blade out afterwards. It seemed like an odd decision, and some nice elusive maneuvers from the Soldier 76, but Willix probably pressing the issue, feeling like there's a lot of pressure on him. I can understand that a bit. Now, Brazil in a position to take this map with only 33% capture point.
So Brazil, not too much pressure on them here if they want to take this map and assure themselves at worst a 2-2 finish. So 4 minutes, 33 seconds. Hex, you think we're going to be seeing anything too crazy coming out here from Brazil?
Well, right now, Alamo is on the Torb. I don't think he's going to come out, but I'm all for it. Torb is actually decent on this map. Some of his turrets can get in sneaky, spots, but an offensive Torb would be odd from your Lucio player, so they're going to switch last second here. No, I'm actually just rooting for a draw. As I said, I just want everyone to get as many points as possible, and this is a map that you can absolutely draw on.
You are the master of equality right now, Hex.
Yeah.
You just want everyone to be a winner.
I like when people are happy.
It's fair.
I've heard happiness exists. I don't know it myself.
Well, you've heard the lies, my friend. But Brazil now moving in right now, going to the right, looking for their way in. Liko being a little bit more far up, supported by the Transcendent Sword. They're able to take down Cantus immediately, though. A huge pick here for Brazil, and this could be over in a blink of an eye if they're able to get just one more.
They have gone after Cantus when he's on offense, when he's on defense, no matter what. They have focused him down very quickly. Liko in a little bit of trouble, going to climb a wall, but does get taken down. Some stabilization here from the New Zealand defense. No progress that will be permanent from the Brazil offense.
Well, it's stabilization, but they also are wounded rather heavily. Respawns will be coming in soon, so New Zealand, if nothing else, can expect to be under a bit of pressure here. But Brazil, they're actually going to go for a full reset, so New Zealand should have that time to regroup. They survived the storm, at least for the first push.
Cantus has to just be calling for help. Maybe he needs to stay a little closer to Birdie to get that peel from the Lucio. The Lucio can keep him alive, but Cantus has been focused down very hard in these fights, and maybe that's why he's playing Ana for the sleep dart to help himself out, get the splash damage there. Now the next fight about to commence. Both teams circling around, looking for weaknesses.
Duty right now into the back line. Supports are on his menu, but they are fighting back. He uses rewind, and now he's going to be a little bit more cautious while he waits for it to come back up. Meanwhile, Willix versus Liko here at the top. Willix has a Discord orb on him, and he's going to fall. Calero finishing that out. A 6v5 chance here for Brazil, and the Soundbear for New Zealand really didn't do that much. Now Liko at the blade, looking to finish it out. Gets the kills he needs, makes it 2, D-Max the Diva, and Brazil should be taking this third map, and they do.
Brazil will take the map. And that's why we talked yesterday and in the last several days about why it's so important for Brazil to run their own style. Taking Liko off the Genji just seems like a mistake. He's been a great part of this team. You see right there with the cleanup of the Dragon Blade. Their triple DPS style works for them, and I would like to see him run it more throughout the tournament.
You think about the great moments for Brazil, most of them have revolved around Liko on the Genji, where he has been one of their biggest playmakers, and the map we just saw here, no exception. Of course, speaking of Genjis, this is where Willix had a little bit more glory, diving in and around, spacing people out, and finding Maurice, of course, before he could get back into that spawn.
It seems to be the strategy on this map to, when you're pushing into last, you send your DPS right outside the door. We've seen more people die right outside of spawn than on any other map. It becomes difficult to get out there, and I think that's the right approach to it, and most teams have won the map by doing just that.
While New Zealand, they still have an opportunity to even things out, and they're going to be bringing us to Rustic Dorado, it looks like.
Good old Dorado. I enjoy me some Dorado. New Zealand, they were the team that we met most that really wanted to play for their country, for their pride. They were so happy to be representing their country, and now they're on the board. We are going to Dorado, one of the best songs in the game.
It's great. I don't even want to say anything here. I just want to sit here and listen. But can you say that? There was a time where you had that muted. I remember.
Sometimes I have to mute stuff. Now I'm just enjoying it.
Well, we're both enjoying right now. But Dorado will, of course, be our escort map to round out this group stage. Brazil would like to go home with a dominant 3-1 performance. New Zealand very much like to even this up. See what both teams have in store.
I can actually play part of that song. This song.
Can you?
Yeah, the maracas. I'm an excellent maraca player.
I feel like I need to see this now.
Well, you get me maracas, you tell me the time and place, and I will do the Dorado cut. Only the maracas, though. So right now, I wouldn't be doing anything.
I'm putting it on my calendar. I'm going to call your bluff.
I'll stream it live. We'll do the maraca cover of Dorado's theme song. So this is a map that I think Brazil probably has to run a Diva on. I feel Diva's so necessary on Dorado, especially Dorado's second.
Second is what I was going to point to there, because even though you can get away with it in Courtyard, when you go into second, of course, has high ground elevation as a key point that the defense likes to work on. And if you're not able to easily go from low ground to high ground, it can be difficult to exert control over that portion of the map.
New Zealand on their offense could possibly just run a bunch of tanks. I think there is a possibility to not take high ground if you're going to run a Zarya Rein. You just wait. You have the big bodies on the ground. But it is going to be New Zealand on the defense first, and they're set up in their pretty dive defense with Cantus playing the Ana. Brazil right now, we'll wait a second, because I think Alamo, as much as I would love to see some Roadhog this tournament, the odd to see Roadhog out of your Lucio play.
I still want to see it.
I know.
If Bacon Jack can flirt with Roadhog, why can't Alamo?
Bacon Jack should be on Roadhog. His name is like a great Roadhog name.
It's true.
Yeah.
Roadhog is absolutely associated with Bacon, and therefore Bacon Jack, we should just force him to play Roadhog.
Yeah, I think that seems fair. I think we should just play Mystery Heroes for the finals.
Works for me. But speaking of working, Brazil not wasting any time in getting to work here, moving over the top and getting taken down just as fast. Willix, anti-air Genji in the house, finding him early on. And Brazil going to get thrown back immediately. Not quite the engage they're looking for.
Yeah, Cantus able to punish the Beaver who've been diving on him the entire time. That must feel like sweet retribution for the support player there. Dudu tried to get in on him, unable to happen. They dive down, finish up the rest, and now get back into position. So this aggressive defense working out for New Zealand so far.
New Zealand right now able to maintain control, punish Brazil for what was a little bit of a discoordinated dive, and now Brazil actually second-guessing how they want to go in this. Applying a lot of pressure to Huwu, but Huwu simply goes right out. Now they move to Legabrill, who drops right in and also leaps out. So the tanks of New Zealand going in, leaving.
It was like synchronized swimming. It was so odd that just one tank would drop down, take a little bit of damage up, and then go back and forth for each other, but Sign goes down.
If it was swimming, then Sign just drowned. That is not exactly how New Zealand wanted that to go. He pokes a little bit too deep as Tracer, and now Brazil able to get an advantage after what was a little bit of a rocky start.
This is a tough spot right now for New Zealand. Do they want to come back in? Neither of the DPS have the ultimates. You want to save this boost for Blade, but they just used the boost already. So a boost onto, I believe it's Willix trying to get to the Blade out there. It might be on Legabrill as well, but still getting pushed out in the corner. Willix falls. Cantus under heavy pressure.
Big pressure coming in for Brazil, and more importantly, large amounts of momentum where they get those opening 3 kills. They're cleaning up everyone in the courtyard, all the scraps being devoured, and now you look into the next stage here. They have a Dragon Blade, which can be very good at sweeping people off the rooftops. Brazil working on what could be an insurmountable advantage if they play this next fight right.
Well, Brazil is going to have the ultimate ability advantage, but New Zealand essentially gave it to them by using some of their ults early. They're not going to have that nano boost, which they would love to have. However, up top, the offense is going to always take high ground early. It's a matter of if they can hold it. Dudu's going to try to blink in, does throw the pulse off, eaten up by the Diva.
Sucked right up by the defensive matrix. It is gone. Dudu not getting the early pickoff he wants, but is able to escape with his life, using those blinks in reverse. And meanwhile, the rest of Brazil doing very well. Liko still holding the Dragon Blade in reserve right now, and the Transcendence going to come in, letting them keep this forward progress, and the Blade coming out from Willix this time, finds Alamo, but Liko, having none of it, simply takes him down with some shurikens.
Now, Willix has had hero plays, but that was an ambitious Dragon Blade to say the least. He thought he was going to be able to bring the fight back for his team, and New Zealand so far a bit loose with their ultimate ability, perhaps having just a little bit of fun right now as they've thrown a couple into lost fights thus far. Maybe waiting here. Dudu is unseen. He's just hanging out. They don't even see him.
Well, he knows that Liko is ready to party. There's the barrier, here's the Blade, and he finds Cantus immediately, striking deeply into New Zealand territory. 4 kills now from Brazil, and this relentless assault continues. It is a full, complete team wipe.
Team kill horn comes out, but in the spirit of Dorado, it should be team kill Maraca. It's a little shaking noise.
You really like your Maraca.
I'll record it for them if they want, but I think that should be the new team kill noise.
Well, speaking of team kills, that's not a Maraca, that is a sword, and used pretty darn well there, Hex.
Yes, he's got the rhythm going right there. Brazil has executed their ultimates almost perfectly this entire map, and they continue to roll through. This is a blazing fast Dorado time, by the way. New Zealand's done nothing to stabilize.
New Zealand looks broken right now as Calero, a double kill from a Zenyatta. Bloodthirsty indeed. as Brazil now a 6v4 advantage, continually keeping New Zealand staggered. New Zealand has been looking for stability, and they simply cannot find it.
It has been one-sided, as the earlier maps were brawls back and forth. They were trading. It ended up being 2v2s to really decide points. This has been all Brazil. It has been all them. They've been cleaning up teams wholly and completely. New Zealand needs to execute one of these ultimates to finally find some traction here, but there goes another pulse bomb that gets nothing from Sign.
And now Calero able to shake the pressure, going into the underpass. Unfortunately, while he's doing that, he's not able to get the healing up, and New Zealand finally able to throw Brazil out. They reclaim their castle that also functions as a power plant.
The Lumeric Corporation, I believe. Overwatch is a unique game in which you don't have to necessarily eliminate a foe to completely pull them out of a fight. You saw right there, if you can just knock Zen away, then the healing is out of it, the discord is out of it, and he's essentially out of the fight. He doesn't go back to spawn, but he might as well. So there's a lot of positioning battles that happen. Yes, getting the elimination is quicker and more efficient, but there's other ways to win a fight.
And now for Brazil, we see how they're going in. Dudu is leading the way. He's looking for the early pulse bomb to give them what could be a man advantage if he can get a stick onto the back line. But now he's waiting with his team, seeing if anyone comes in from the flank. That's where you can go for Tracer versus Tracer and try and get an advantage that way. But so far, Brazil is being cautious.
He's waiting for his team to call out targets. There is an early sound barrier as the defense tries to engage here. Dudu's going to fall back with his team and try to find something there, but now it is now back and forth as it was earlier. Willick's out of this fight as Liko pulled out the blade.
That was blade versus blade, and it was Liko striking true, able to give Brazil an advantage. And again, Eden Huwu is effectively a vacuum cleaner brand at this point because he has been doing great at nullifying those pulse bombs. However, Brazil is still applying pressure.
Insult to injury onto Dudu. He eats up his pulse bomb and then kills him with his self-destruct. And the defense has stabilized for New Zealand. Now this is a point where a lot of defenses stabilize, because Dorado last is infamously hard to deal with. The defender's advantage taking the high ground is great. And this is the smart move from New Zealand. A little bit of chase, seeing if they get anything for free out here, but you want to fall back to where you have the best advantage. That is high ground on the upper right-hand side.
This has been very good stabilization coming out right now from New Zealand, where yes, the first part of the map was rough, but with only 1:30 left, Hex, because they've been using the defensive advantages to their credit, they have really been stymieing this Brazil attack, and now they're going to a Reaper just to look for anything that could bring this through.
I like the Reaper because the biggest problem that they've had to deal with has been Huwu, who's been in his mech nearly the entire time, and Legabril's also getting a lot of damage. This has been a great tournament for a solid tank play, and Reaper now coming back into the meta, trying to deal with it. They do find a Winston in the corner, but look, a nice help out, both tanks playing together, and Liko taken out.
That was a tough approach for Liko, walking directly into a D.Va, staring her into the eyes, and getting taken out by a group of 3 people. So a little bit tough coming in there, as New Zealand very easily controlling space now. Brazil finding themselves down to the final minute.
Oh, it's a beautiful play, though, because he was walking straight into a Winston, and then the D.Va came and shut him down. Your tanks have to work as one unit if they want to survive together. Tanks are not only initiators, but they're about keeping people alive, being Johnny on the spot with their mobility, and turning those 1v1s into non-even situations.
Well, speaking of one-on-ones right now, Dudu will be looking for this pulse bomb here. Backed up by what could be a transcendence from Calero. Brazil down to their final opportunity. 24 seconds remaining. Pulse bomb is out, did not connect. Willox now with the blade, slicing in, countered by the Transcendence, not getting too much off of that. But with Alamo down, New Zealand still has a big advantage here, as the supports for Brazil no longer able to heal as effectively as they'd like, and New Zealand, they're going to double down with the barrier of their own.
Huwu has had a great game just overall. He's able to shut down the Reaper yet again and then finish up on the kill. And based off the strength of that D.Va play and some of the DPS on the cleanup, it does appear that New Zealand will push back Brazil and not allow them to finish Dorado.
Great last point defense coming out here from New Zealand, where it was looking rough. They did very little right on the first 2 points as Brazil simply washed over them like a wave. But then they recovered, they resurged, and they held Brazil back and stopped them from completing the map.
D.Va's so good on defense there too, because the flank paths are completely the same size as her defense matrix. You saw on the lower level, the Reaper tries to come in, defense matrix out. On the upper side, if you try to send your Tracer up there, D.Va's very mobile. She can go up the upside. Defense matrix out. Shut down so much damage. Did Huwu, probably his best game of the day.
It was very good. I mean, anytime you're a D.Va and you're devouring that many pulse bombs, you can feel happy. But it wasn't just that. That was the flash. That was the spice. The rest of it from HooWoo was just very good protection, where even when a Reaper came into the mix, he protected his team and said, look, let's take this 3-on-1, while mitigating anything that Liko was trying to get done.
If we didn't mention that the Reaper was in the conversation, you wouldn't have known. He got absolutely nothing done, no damage, was unable to even demech HooWoo a single time. Those tanks worked together great. They had to try something. Now, Brazil did push it pretty far for Dorado. Brazil has a chance to close out this map as long as they prevent New Zealand from getting it just as far as they did. And we'll see what they want to run here as we look at tortas and tacos.
You know, I can't take this anymore. Between Rachel at the desk talking about food and now just a zoom in on the taco shop. Guys, you already know food is my vice. I don't know if I can handle this right now. I know there's catering back there, so please stop torturing me.
I wonder what the catering is. Any guesses?
I don't know.
The guarantee is delicious. I mean, shout out to the catering. They're absolutely great. Yeah, now I'm hungry. Darn, ZB, I would have been fine. I would have been totally fine.
Misery loves company, but speaking of hunger right now, Hex, on the Overwatch front, there is a hunger from New Zealand to finish out this map and go 2-2. We'll see if they can satisfy their hunger now as the gates open and the match begins.
Well, they'll try to pull it even here. The reason you see so much Ana on defense, by the way, is because you see this aggressive tank play up on the rooftops. You need the distance healing, the very powerful healing output of an Ana over that distance in time to keep those tanks healthy. And now the jump up as the tanks from both teams will duel on the rooftops. HooWoo gets the better of it.
HooWoo, very good control coming out from them. Not only did he save Legabrill after the dive in, but he threw in the damage on the Neil to give New Zealand a 6-on-5. Now, Brazil, who wanted to be aggressive with this dive defense, can't be quite as aggressive with a tank being down. So it's 5-on-5 now, but this is not a bad start here from New Zealand.
Well, defense gets a couple, but there is some progress already under the archway, and the bodies will just continue to push to the point. Willix is able to take down one of the Zenyatas there. The tanks have been working very well together, and they're staying so healthy. The defensive Ana is actually really good. The reason that tanks were so popular in the meta at a certain point in time is because Ana is so good at healing tanks. The healing rate very high, already has her nano boost ready for the defense of Brazil.
New Zealand right now keeping the payload moving forward. Brazil will have to commit here sooner rather than later. They throw in the nano boost, but here comes Willix into the back himself, moving into the room, slicing his way right through. 2 kills here from Willix, and he has done his work. Should be enough for New Zealand to really get some momentum, but Dudu still alive and a threat.
Well, Willix able to take down the 2 pieces that they wanted to be able to combo. A beautiful charge shot from Alamo there, takes down Willix, and that was the kill that they needed on the defense. They lost Mirrors and they lost Calero early in that, and I think those are the 2 they wanted to work well together. Did not happen for them.
The interesting thing there, though, was Dudu, where even though Willix was doing really well with that engagement of a Dragon Blade, Dudu did so much work into the back line that it neutralized everything that really should have led to a good fight for New Zealand. So now they're back to the drawing board. 2 minutes left remaining as they try and conquer this courtyard.
Well, they need at least the courtyard to get a little bit of extension here. Sign has actually been putting his name into the kill feed a little bit, and that's why Dudu's over there checking him. You don't necessarily need the kill, but you need to check that tracer. Sound Barrier comes in for the offense as they try to engage.
New Zealand right now trying to make the most of the beats. They're not able to convert on kills early on Brazil. Again, a good early disengage, but with Murray's falling to the self-destruct from HooWoo, it's still a good fight for New Zealand. Everyone still alive, still very healthy. Brazil is going to have to commit now with only 5 players. Maurice with the tac visor could be big if he can find room, but right now it's not happening.
New Zealand getting everything that they need here. A self-destruct will come up over top and force them off just a little bit, but no one foolish enough to fall through that. Willix does have another blade in the back line. Yet again, he gets pressured out, pushes them out a little bit. They're going to try to bring this back with a visor.
Visor coming in, but Signed having none of it. Cuts through Marie's enhanced protection and all. New Zealand, 3.5 minutes left to get through seconds.
Signed, sealed, and delivered right here. He's been playing very well on this map, able to take down the Soldier 76 with the help of his Zenyatta.
I don't want a letter from Signed. I feel like if I had a letter from Signed, I'd just be wondering who it's from, because he just wrote Signed twice.
Special delivery, you know, the pulse bomb line is what Signed's been doing all day here. The bad thing for Brazil is that they invested a lot trying to take that back, so they're going to be at an ultimate disadvantage here in short order. Signed is taken out by his counterpart in Dudu, and that's a good opening kill for Brazil's defense.
This just lets Brazil take a breather. Now they don't have to worry about the tracer into their back line. They can reestablish control. And with Legabrill going down, that is going to signal a full reset right now for this New Zealand team.
We are under 3 minutes and the cart has a ways to go until they will reach the second checkpoint. Really, for me, at this point is all about high ground. You have to be able to take the high ground off. Defensively, you can sit on the high ground as long as you want. This is an interesting move. That's so cool. The D.Va scoop up the high ground.
The scoop comes in, Huwu again, showing great management and gets his prey. Maurice out off of that engagement from Huwu. 5 on 5 right now, still very even. Huwu, though, can liven things up. Has a self-destruct in reserve. Might use it here to even things up, or they could just back out. Cantus is down, and that's going to leave them without the healing they need to stay in the fight.
Cantus used Transcend, but Alamo has been crushing people with these charge shots from Zenyatta. He had that lined up, and the moment that Cantus's light faded away, he put out those lights permanently and put him down. Now Brazil has really taken control of the economy yet again.
This is game defining what's coming up right now between both of these teams, because both have a lot in their ultimate banks, but the one who rises above the ashes of this fight will likely be in a great position for second. Willix, though, Blade is out, Transcendence forces him away. Cantus down here for the New Zealand attack, so it's still 5 on 5, and Willix doesn't have an orb to really help him get back in. He's going to have to settle for the beat.
The late barrier comes in to try to keep this push going for New Zealand, but Huwu very low, demacked for what seems like one of the first times today, and that is Brazil holding sway over this point. 90 seconds remain for New Zealand on their next push.
That was such a big fight for Brazil. Both teams threw everything out into that fight, but is Brazil still with position, still in a big advantage when the dust had settled? So now New Zealand is going to have to do this without those ultimates in reserve.
It's going to be a micro battle between the tanks of New Zealand and Muras on the high ground. A soldier on a high ground is a dangerous thing. A soldier with a visor on a high ground is even more dangerous. They have the tools to shut it down, but they have to both come in together. The Winston starts first, gets slept, then woke.
I get really angry when I get woken up like that, so like it, bro, I understand, and it's a nice engage. Neil is down early on, forcing Maurice to try and bring this back. Looking for open targets right now. The payload being used for cover, and Cantus spooked. He uses the Transcendence there. I don't know if he had to, but for now, New Zealand still taking this fight relatively well.
If you were focused as much as Cantus has been focused, you'd be a little bit spooked as well. I understand the Transcendence in that situation, and now that Transcendence keeps him alive, keeps the healing and Discord out for his team, and they're able to pull through because of that. These kills are now coming fast and furious for New Zealand. Willix will not need the blade here. I'd like to see him hold on to it for this last push. It does appear they're going to get to second. Brazil has something to say.
Nano boosted D.Va coming in right now. Liko trying to make some space. He's going to get taken down, so more durable or not, doesn't really matter. Dudu, though, find Willix into the back, and Brazil is going to go for a full contest. They come out with the Transcendence. This will let them get presence here on the point, and New Zealand, actually perhaps a little bit of trouble. They cannot give up any more kills.
Well, Neil's still here, stalling it out, waiting towards his team, trying to get reinforcements, but Cantus has come alive in the DPS role on this Zenyatta. He has been featured a lot. Neil is stalling it out. Brazil has done this on the first point, and it did not work out at all, stalling it out, but they stalled long enough to get all full reinforcements. Blade out from Willix.
Signs went down before the barrier hit. That would have been huge. A moment of seconds does it. Oh, Mao takes down Willix. My foot is better than your sword, he says, as Brazil holding on strong right now. In on the point, not letting New Zealand push it forward that last little bit. We are in overtime, and New Zealand's time might just be about over as Brazil takes map number 4.
By all rights, New Zealand should have had that push. Neil went invisible after Primal Rage. He just hung out under the hood of that truck up front, stalled it out long enough for his reinforcements to get there, and rewarded by great play from Alamo, who was able to shut down the blades towards the end. A great job from both of these teams. Brazil will take the set 3-1, but both teams going home from the World Cup qualifier with a win.
Well, Brazil, it was a rough day 1 and day 2 for them, but they do leave day 3 with a bit of glory. And to talk to us about glory, let's throw it over to the Golden Boy and our glorious panel.
Thank you so much, CP. And yes, congratulations to Brazil as they will get themselves 3 wins there, New Zealand with 1. So no one leaving without a win in the column, which is great for Group G here. And overall, I think both teams just have a lot to be happy about coming out of that match as they now head back home and really take what they've learned here and try to improve in their regions, Rachel.
Yeah, we talked about this being an opportunity for some players to put their names on the map now in an individual sense, and we definitely saw that from Brazil. Calero with the Zenyatta, just absolutely spectacular. Lyco, some of his best diva, I think, of the tournament so far, and also some really strong Genji play. All across the board, I thought that Brazil here was bringing a lot to the table. Maybe not the most cohesive way every time, but we saw a lot of great individual stuff.
Yeah, it was great to just see these players get an opportunity to shine. Same thing for New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, they're not gonna like go further in this tournament, but still they had the opportunity to go up on this stage and show that their region is there, their country is there, and they put their own names on the map, and that's a great thing for all of them. I mean, looking at the New Zealand squad, they're young players, right?
Yes.
All of those are so very young. They still have so much more to come. I personally enjoyed getting to know them here. They're great guys, great spirits. Same for the Brazilian team. It was still very pleasant to have them here.
A good way to close out for sure for those two teams. Flame, though, I want to go for you for the highlights here, if you will. Anything you noticed from those final two games?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like most of these games, at least in the last two, were all about the supports. I felt like Cantus and Calero and Alamo at the end were just playing incredibly. Here we saw a crazy Ananade. I think it came out from Calero on that defense, and they just... You can't do anything when your team can't do any heals. Even here, Cantus comes in with these Discord orbs and all this damage, and there's just nothing. I felt like this match in particular really highlighted the strength of the supports of both teams. Like even on Dorado at the end there, you saw LML getting kills on Genjis repeatedly, on Tracers. You don't get that a lot, and you don't really see these highlight reels coming out of support players. But for both of them, you got so much value out of the Discord, out of the headshots, out of the Ananades, out of the Nano Boosts. Everyone was playing at a very high level, and it definitely just opened up room for Willex to do work, for Judo to do work, for anyone on the team to just make, for the supports to be able to put up, for them to be able to stand up for themselves, make so much more room for everybody else.
And for Neil to stay alive.
Yes, that was,
saw that today. That was great.
Yeah, that was a big talking point for sure. Well, guys, I mean, again, good showing for both squads, and congratulations regardless as they both end their journey here for BlizzCon, but it was a joy to have them here in Los Angeles. But coming up next, we have a great match. This one is a huge decider between two teams that have been performing very well here. It's going to be the United Kingdom facing off against Germany. You're not going to want to miss that one, and we'll see you on the other side.
Quem é mais merda.